an attempt to fill positions. But this is really interesting to me, Connor, that we're having this conversation about how hard it is to fill these positions and what kind of demand there's going to be, when just a second ago we were talking about the precautions and the people sort of ignoring the fact that COVID-19 still exists. There are a couple caught up against each other.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we should think carefully about who these workers are. Not always, but sometimes they are younger. Some of them might be waiting to get their full course of vaccine potentially before they go back out in the workplace. They did get that stimulus check, and so
Okay, get
in
this
all
show
honesty,
back on the road.
it's not going to keep them going for very long. Maybe a month's worth of rent, food, maybe 2 months if you're budgeting, carefully. But for me,
I wonder if they have air here. Probably charge for it. No free air here. Nope. Only air with cash. I hate paying for air. Spoiled up in the city. Hey, Jay. Hello. Good evening. Find our way back to the highway here. My way or the highway? Yeah, I've been meaning to invest in a good portable air compressor again. I think I used to have one of those jump boxes with a compressor. I need to get one again, or just get a dedicated compressor that even has better oomph. I just finished spending too much money for dinner. What else is new? Should have gone to Burger King. Need to drive back up to the city now. I gotta go help my sister. She's waiting on me. Was not food. I overspent at Dubs. Oh well. If I would have been thinking, I wouldn't have gone here. I would have kept going and gone over to Wadsworth. Sure, I would have got better food. Oh well. It was a tough piece of meat, worth it. I can eat so much more reasonable in Cleveland.
From the Ohio Education Association, representing 120,000 educators who work to inspire their students to think creatively and experience the joy of learning. Online at oha.org. You're listening to 90.3 WSP.
is living on Earth. I'm Steve Kirkman. On this Earth Day of the climate crisis, we are looking forward to how the world is reimagining a greener economy.
The care economy is largely a green economy. It's largely a low carbon set of industries. Interestingly, women and women of color.
Also, the values solution to the climate crisis.
We have to save ourselves from this existential crisis by changing fundamentally the way we live, how we relate to one another, and how
Control and Prevention have lifted a pause on using the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. Here's Rob Stein's story.
The FDA and CDC say the country should resume inoculating people with the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The announcement was made after a panel of independent experts recommended to the CDC that the nation start using
40
the vaccine
minutes.
again. The recommendation came after the panel concluded that the benefits of protecting people against COVID-19 outweigh the apparently very low risk of blood clots. At least 15 women have suffered blood clots after getting the shot, including 2 who died and 7 who were hospitalized. The risk appears to be greatest among women younger than 50. Rob Stein, NPR News.
President Biden wrapped up a 2-day global climate change summit, saying the climate crisis has created an opportunity to redo the world's economy, potentially producing millions of clean energy and technology jobs. Speaking at the White House as the virtual summit concluded, Biden said global climate crisis actually represents an opportunity for the U.S. to work with longtime rivals like Russia on a common goal. U.S. climate envoy John Kerry says the next decade is critical if global warming is to be slow. President Biden spoke today with his counterpart in Turkey, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. NPR's Franco Ordonez reports the call comes at a sensitive time ahead of Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day.
During the campaign, Biden pledged to formally acknowledge the deaths of 1.5 million Armenians in 1915 as genocide. Turkish officials have warned, though, that the move could hurt already delicate relations between the two nations. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said the president would deliver a statement Saturday on Remembrance Day, but did not share details of its contents.
Obviously, any decision that the president makes on foreign policy takes into account concerns expressed by allies.
The White House did not indicate whether Biden talked about the issue with Erdogan, but the leaders agreed to hold a bilateral meeting on the margins of the NATO summit in June. Franco Ordonez, NPR News, the White House.
Sales of new homes moved sharply higher last month. The Commerce Department reporting today sales of new homes were up 20.7%, rebounding from a drop the previous month, tied to bad weather in much of the country. The government says sales of new homes climbed to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of just over 1 million units last month.
Jay, are you on Periscope or Twitter? Crossed over into the Lake Erie watershed. Everything from here goes to Lake Erie. The other side of that sign, everything goes toward the Ohio River. And that's 200 miles away. Oh, a lot of traffic out here tonight.
partners include Rocket Mortgage, working to help home buyers find a home loan that fits their budget. Home buyers can adjust payments, see tax estimates, and closing costs all in real time. Rocket Mortgage. Rocket can.
On the next Fresh Air, the director and co-director of the film Sold, which is nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Film. We talk with Pete Docter and Kemp Powers, who also co-wrote the film. Powers also has an Oscar nomination for his screenplay One Night in Miami, which he adapted from his play of the same name. Join us.
Tonight at 11, here on 90.3 WCPN.
From PRX and the Jennifer and Ted Stanley Studios at the University of Massachusetts, Boston, this is Living on Earth. I'm Steve Kerwood. Earth Day 2021 marks an important milestone for Living on Earth. In April of 1991, Living on Earth started broadcasting weekly on public radio, and for these past 30 years, we've been hitting the airways ever since. Biologist and Woods Hole Research Center founder George Woodwell helped inspire me to start this show when he told me that global warming from burning fossil fuels in forests would likely melt the Arctic. He explained that as the permafrost released its CO2 and methane, those added greenhouse gases would cause more warming and melt the Arctic even more, which would add yet more carbon to the atmosphere. At some point, these self-reinforcing reactions, this feedback loop, will be beyond human control. As a journalist, it seemed to me that if what George described was allowed to get out of hand, little else would matter for society.
Thank you for
So
pause.
I decided that climate change and so many other environmental stories needed reporting.
Hello.
And here we are.
Good evening.
Now, many things have changed since 1991, and science has made some amazing advances. The human genome was sequenced, and gene therapy began. The Hubble telescope gave us fantastic views of deep space. Technology gave us the World Wide Web, which made e-commerce, Google, and Facebook possible, and the invention of the smartphone put the world in our pocket. And in politics and society, South Africa ended apartheid and freed Mandela, and the U.S. elected its first president of direct African descent, Barack Obama. But the numbers show we are still failing to preserve the climate. Over the last 30 years, human-caused emissions have increased by 60%. Today, the atmosphere holds the equivalent of about 500 parts per million of CO2. That is not good news. We began the industrial age in 1760 with concentrations of CO2 at about half those levels. We are now living through the hottest decade in modern human history. As a result, we are seeing record-breaking heat waves and wildfires from California to Siberia, floods, rising sea levels, and shrinking Arctic sea ice. Not to mention record-breaking Atlantic hurricane seasons, searing droughts, and massive tornado clusters. And all this climate disruption is a result of just a single degree centigrade rise in average Earth surface temperatures since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. But our broadcast today is not simply a look back or a lament. We are also looking ahead to shine a light on some possibilities to head off climate disruption before civilization as we know it becomes untenable. We will consider the possibilities of economics, politics, applied science, and technology to address climate disruption, though so far they have fallen short. So we will look to see what they may be missing. And since we humans have caused the climate emergency, we'll also consider how we can think differently about our place on this planet. For some clues, we'll look to some ancient wisdoms and contemporary anthropology. Correlation doesn't necessarily...
Forgot I should have called my friend up to take her to dinner tonight. Not even thinking. I was out here and totally forgot about that opportunity.
No gain, many losing economic power, as many young adults today can't afford to buy homes like the ones they grew up in. The other trend is the loss of confidence in government action at the national and local levels, and the failure of international rules governing climate change emissions to go beyond the honor system. The concentration of economic and political power related to those trends has historically thrived on extraction and burning of fossil resources. Climate policy critics, including Dan Jones, Christina Carlson, and Bill McKibben, say that has to change if we are to halt our present march toward climate Armageddon.
The first industrial revolution hurt the people and the planet too. The next industrial revolution has to help the people and the planet.
Meaningfully addressing climate requires an economic transformation in basically all corners of our economy.
I think we're reaching a turning point. I think that the political power of the fossil fuel industry has begun to wane after a century or two of waxing. And our job is to accelerate that, to push hard for really rapid change.
There are plenty of ideas about how to preserve a livable climate, and the conventional answer so far has been to double down on approaches that have yet to work, including unproven technology. To save us, many advocates say we need market-based solutions, such as pricing carbon and technologies such as renewable electricity from solar, wind, and other clean energy sources to power our lives. They say we just need to update the systems of the Industrial Revolution that relied on abundant fossil fuels.
We had all this energy available, a huge quantity that had never been available before, and it allowed just a complete revolution in the world, revolutions in transportation and manufacturing, all kinds of things that we'd just never been able to do before.
Samantha Gross was a senior climate and energy official for the Obama administration. Now at the Brookings Institution, she notes that by the 20th century, oil had become the most valuable commodity on world markets.
If you were to design a fuel to be used for transportation, you really couldn't do a lot better. It's very energy dense. It has a lot of energy within it for its weight and its size. It's easily transportable. It's a liquid, so it works in an internal combustion engine. It's really an excellent transportation fuel.
So she calls for new technologies to power the world while avoiding more climate disruption.
We absolutely need both cleaner energy and more energy. There's roughly 1 billion people in the world right now who don't have access to modern energy services.
Hello. Yeah, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Okay. Cuba. No español. Oh, okay. Good. Which brand? And don't tell me it was Fred's vaccine store. Astro, oh, really? We don't have that in this country. Okay. I don't think we do. I think only we got is Moderna, Pfizer, and J&J. Watermelon, yeah, it was tough. Yeah. It was definitely horse meat. I don't want to eat horse meat. Yeah, it was tough. It's a shame because for the kind of money most of these places charge, if they had somebody that knew how to shop for their provisions, they could buy good quality cuts of meat, you know. But so many of these places don't have a clue. You know, it's just sad. I don't know that you would pay that much more money for a decent piece of meat. I think you could still sell it at the same prices, offer a better experience. You know, I get pretty damn good meals in Cleveland, you know. For less money. Oh, get the pork. Yeah, well, they didn't really even have that. They have a very limited menu now there since COVID. They took the buffet out, you know. They cut the menu down. If I only go there again, it'll be for sandwiches or breakfast, not for something like a meal. If I want a meal, if I'm down there, if it's early enough, I'll try to go to Wadsworth. There's some good restaurants in Wadsworth. So that's if I'm going to spend that kind of money down that way next time. I didn't even think about Wadsworth until after I was already eating. But I met a really gorgeous hound dog out in the parking lot. Wow. Oh, I wish I could have showed you guys. She was gorgeous. I didn't get her name, damn it. I forgot her digits, too. Oh my God, she was gorgeous. This guy was walking out of the truck stop, and she was his dog, and he was parked right in front of me. She was hanging out the window, her big ears. Oh, and she got that big, deep... Gorgeous dog. Oh my gosh. I'd like to have a doggy like that. That or a nice girlfriend. Either way, they got to be willing to sing with me. I told him about that park we went to. He didn't even know about that park. Potato was fine. The vegetables were fine. You know, the salad was fine. You know, the sauteed onions and mushrooms were good. It was just the meats, you know. So many places don't have good cuts of meat, and then they don't even know how to cook them, you know. The diners I go to up here, very fortunate how well they're priced and how good the food is. I'm sure I could. I looked at that restaurant in Wadsworth the last time. I could have eaten there. I probably would have had way better food for the same money. This was pricey out the door. I told the girl that the steak was tough, and she just goes, uh-huh. Okay. She didn't even say, I'm sorry. $40 for a steak in China. Ooh, look at these guys. Look how fast they're going. 3 of them. Look at that. They're rolling over 80. Playing bumper tag there. They were rolling pretty fast. Yeah, well, meat is more affordable and more available in China now, but yeah, I have no idea what you pay for it over there. But I have, from all the Chinese I work with, have said that it's definitely much more available nowadays than it used to be. Oh. Take photos of steaks. I don't know about that. If this is going to take photos of steaks, I'd do it in Texas. Where's that cruise control? Yeah, my friends who come over from Switzerland, they're like, they love American food, diners and stuff, and they're like, wow, we can't get anything like this in Switzerland, man. Really, that's crazy. Well, yeah, I mean, you get a lot of Asians going to the Grand Canyon. Asians and Germans. Well, I had a nice doggy fix tonight. That was nice. Cactus, oh yeah, cactus and desert, yeah. You know, yep. I remember though, every time I've been at the Grand Canyon, a lot of Asians and a lot of Germans. All right, everybody, gonna drop off here. See you all later. Gotta get back to the Bat Cave here. Maybe we'll be back out. Who knows? Thanks for joining us on this short trip. Remember to stay seated until the ride comes to a stop. Keep your arms and hands inside. All right, ciao.